special needs trusts. We hear the word trusts, and I know our viewers, have probably heard this, in passing, because there's a lot of different kinds. Can you talk to our viewers and tell our viewers about what those are, special needs trusts?
Sure. So there are many different types of trusts, and when we're recommending a trust to a client, we really have to make sure that we're accomplishing the goals of the particular client. So, for example, you might recommend a trust for tax planning. You might recommend a trust if you have, say, an adult child that maybe has a drug or alcohol problem, and your client has concerns that if their adult child received an inheritance that they might squander it.
Yeah.
So they might want to put that inheritance in trust.
Is that called a spendthrift?
It is called a spendthrift trust,
Yeah.
correct.
Proud of you.
And we even have pet trusts. If people want to leave money, you can appoint a trustee and a caregiver for your animals.
Listen, my wife would leave a trust for the dogs versus me.
So when we're talking about special needs trust and special needs planning, that's a very particular type of planning when you might have a client that has an adult disabled beneficiary or a child with disabilities. And we have our clients say to us all the time, my daughter is receiving Social Security benefits and Medicaid, and so she can't get an inheritance because then she'll be ineligible for benefits. Special needs trust and special needs planning still allows you to leave something to a disabled beneficiary while allowing them to retain those benefits. So it's a very important tool that we have to care for the loved ones of our clients with special needs.
There's many people throughout New Jersey, because I've heard this, that have autism and things like that. And so now what happens if both parents should pass away? That's where a special needs trust could be applicable to make sure there's assets there for the care of this daughter or son that has issues like this.
Correct. So there are two different ways that we can sort of attack this legal issue. Advising clients to make those provisions in their will and creating the trust during their lifetime, so that way upon their death any assets would then transfer to the trust, so you're preserving those benefits. But you also have adults with disabilities that may find themselves coming into money, and now they're concerned about losing their benefits. They can establish their own special needs trust under certain circumstances. That way they can still have the benefit of that money, but it's being managed in a trust by a trustee. The trust has to comply with state law, and it has to be managed in a certain way, and it has to be funded prior to their 65th birthday. And it has to be used just for the sole benefit of the disabled beneficiary. So there are rules. They have to be managed in a particular way, but they're a very important tool.